We're from DLT Tech, and today we'll be looking at the accounting module of our ERP system. So over here, we can see the accounting module, and as soon as we click on the drop-down arrow, we can see a list of several other submodules appears. So the very first submodule that we'll be looking at is the bank account, and for your information, the bank account submodule is not only important for the accounting module or the accounting settings, but also for the fees management module of the ERP system. So firstly, we'll be doing the settings over here. So since the school has multiple accounts meant for different purposes, you can simply enter the name of the account holder, the bank account number, other details such as IFSC code, bank name, branch name, any opening balance if it's applicable, along with account type, debit or credit, and if it's a primary account, you can simply check on this box and you can save it in order to upload it over here. Now there could be accounts relating to different sort of categories. It's important that we look at this particular submodule, which is known as account group. So we have different sort of categories of accounts that we have that the school is using. So you can simply enter the name of the account group, give permissions for a status such as enable or disable, and save it in order to upload it. Now moving on to account type. So there are different types of account as well under the account group. So as we can see, under the assets account group, we have two major accounts, which could be bank, cash, and there could be many other accounts. So you can simply select the account group for which you have already made the settings, and then simply enter the account type, whichever you wish to enter and upload on the ERP system, along with some basic description for better understanding, as we can see here. And then the enable and disable settings can be edited from here, which can later on be saved in order to upload it. Now we'll look at expense parties. So school could have several suppliers or any stakeholders whom they might need to pay very often, such as any stationery suppliers, caterers, any transport people, or anybody whom they have a contract with and they need to pay them on a daily basis. So you can enter the name of the parties, such as XYZ caterers, can be entered and saved over here so that you can have a record of the party that needs to be paid along with the amount. Similarly, there could be several other expense parties as well, such as if there's any event, there could be decorators or event managers who might need to be paid. So hence, even their list can be uploaded over here. Now moving on to expense head. So as we know, there are several types of expenses under which there could be several transactions happening. So for instance, we could have staff salary expense head, which is a broad category under which there could be salaries getting paid for different staff or employees, including the teachers, the principal, the coordinators. It could be the cleaning staff, it could be security guards, it could be any other backend staff. So a broad category of staff salary can be updated over here in order to know that there are several other expenses under it. Similarly, for another example, we could have transport related fees, wherein there could be expenses related to the driver's salary or the bus fuel or management or anything like that. After this, we look at the expense or debit voucher submodule. Now, in order to make a payment or pay for an expense, you can use this particular option to raise a voucher, wherein you can choose the expense head, which you have already talked about, choose the expense party if applicable, along with the name of the person, the invoice number, the date of the transaction, and most importantly, the account, followed by other important details such as the mode of payment. It could be any of these. followed by the bank account. So since we have already uploaded a list of all the bank accounts, you can also choose that to select which bank account do you wish to make the payment from, along with paid by. So here is a list of all the staff members. So if any of these are applicable and if any of them are paying, you can choose their name, enter the transaction ID, the UTR or reference number, followed by other details such as prepared by, if a staff member is preparing this, approved by, so the transaction or the expense, if it is getting paid, it might need someone's approval, maybe a person of authority, along with received by. So in case a member of staff is receiving the payment, for example a salary, then the name can be chosen over here, along with any document if required, and a brief description if applicable, which can later on be saved in order to upload it on the ERP system. Now, similar to expense parties and expense head, we can also see we have two similar options such as income parties and income head. So now we'll be looking at them. So firstly, similar to expense parties, we also have income parties. So the most simple option for income parties could be the parents of the students who are supposed to pay the fees. So their names could be entered here under the income party's name. So you can enter the name, the address, other important contact details, GST number, etc. So that you have a record of all the people who are supposed to pay you. Followed by income head. So similar to expense head, we also have a broad category of incomes that the school could have. So there could be fees, but under fees there could be multiple types of fees that the school is receiving. It could be the school fees, the transport fees, uniform fees, or any other event fees, etc. So there could be such fees as well. So it's important to create an income head, which is a broad category, including several other categories under it. Another option that we'll move to is income management. So since we were using this expense and debit voucher option in order to record any transaction and any expense that is getting paid, similar to that, we can use the income management option in order to record any income that is being received. So you can choose the income head, which we have already set up before, along with any income parties, which mostly could be a parent of a particular student. The name can be entered along with invoice number, date, amount, and similar details such as payment mode, the bank account in which the payment is being received, any document and description, etc. So as we can see, the most obvious example of income management or a particular income head in which an income is being received could be a parent who has paid their school fees. So you can see all the necessary details over here. Now we'll be moving on to the purchase submodule. So as we know, a school could spend their money in the purchases, and it could be related to several types of things. So the most common purchases could be related to any goods of stationery or any teaching aids such as basic stationery or pen, pencils, chalk, markers, etc., along with any uniforms or any sports equipments, or maybe inventory related to the medical aid room such as band-aids or any cotton balls or medicines, etc. So there could be several types of purchases or inventories which could be kept. So over here, you can record the transaction date, the type of purchase, whether it's on cash, credit, online, or any service, etc. The bank account from which the payment is being made. A narration could be basically a description of what exactly is being ordered or purchased, followed by the details such as the product that is being ordered. So it could be inventory of stationery supplies, of medicines or sports equipment such as balls or rackets, etc. The vendor from which the supplies are being ordered, followed by other details such as the rate per unit, the quantity of each good, the tax percentage, tax amount, and the total amount, followed by the total tax, the total amount, and the grand total which the school has to pay. You can submit it in order to upload it on the ERP system, wherein you'll be able to see the serial number of purchases that have happened, the financial year, the date of transaction, purchase type, account ID, the amount, product, narration, and other details, etc., corresponding to the particular purchases happening. Besides, as we can see, we have the drop down arrow to choose the product that we are ordering. We know that the school might be ordering the same type of goods over and over again, so you can use this particular option in order to add those goods. So we know that the school orders stationery on a regular basis. They can simply add the category, which could be stationery, followed by the name of the product, let's say pens and pencils, followed by the purchase price, the stock, a photo if applicable, the vendor from whom the product has been ordered, the details of the product, sales price, any other location, and the type of product. So whether it's consumable, non-consumable, or meant for the students, which will also be helpful in keeping a track of the record of the stock related to that particular good. On the side, we can also see a vendors list, wherein we'll have the list of all the vendors that we have that the school deals with, along with the school vendor's name, the commission, etc. This is also a small part of the accounting and purchase submodule, although it's majorly a part of another module which is known as the vendors module, which we'll be talking about later on. On the sides, we can also see several other options such as add new product category, add new package, assign product to package, link it with the ledger, add location, etc. So this will be helpful to us in choosing these particular details that we have here. Now we look at the sales submodule. So a school could make sales related to different type of products. Most importantly, the books or the uniforms that the students might be purchasing. So there could be sales related to that. So you can enter the date of the transaction or the sale that is happening. Select the type of sales, whether it's on cash, credit, online, etc., along with the narration. And here, similar to purchases, you can select the bank account in which the money from the sales being generated, the revenue being generated has been recorded, the product which is being sold, such as uniform, stationery, or books. And then you can enter all the necessary details that we have already looked at before. Then you can submit it in order to upload it in the ERP system. Similar to the previous submodule, we also have the option to add new products or add a new bank account if applicable. We also have an inventory distribution submodule. So if a particular student is purchasing a uniform or a stationery or a package of textbooks, then we can enter the receipt number, other important information such as the date, financial year, the bank account, the class, section, and the name of the student belonging to that particular class, along with the transaction details and the details of the things that are being purchased. The package can be selected and other amounts can be generated, such as the grand total that the student has to pay. And then the details of the transaction can be uploaded over here, where the distribution date, the name, type, the total amount, the package receipt ID, and other details would be visible over here. Next, we have the ledger's report. So this is basically a summary of all the income and expenses that have happened, which are basically looked at in comparison in each other in order to see the net income, wherein you can also see all the transactions that have been happening in detail. Lastly, we have the day book option. This particular option can be used to look at the day book for a specific day. So if you wish to see the transactions that have been happening on a particular day, you can simply select the date using this calendar option, and you can download it or print it in order to see a summary like this. So for this particular day, we'll be able to see all the transactions that have been happening along with other necessary details such as the bank account, the opening balances, the type of expenses or incomes, if any remarks, the closing balances, and the bank cash and gross summary. Hence, this will be necessary in avoiding any frauds or errors and keeping the accounts error free by looking at the closing balances and gross so that you achieve the current balances. For now, we were looking at the single transaction mode. We can also click on the multiple transaction mode, wherein we have the option to send the payments to multiple accounts in bulk at once. So you can select the date of transaction, the financial year, the voucher number, and the account from which the payment has to be made. Wherein you can select the accounts that needs to be paid along with the amounts. So for an instance, there could be multiple staff members who need to be paid on a particular day. You can simply enter different staff members and then enter their salary amounts and pay their salary at once. So there could also be a basic narration of what exactly the transaction is about. The total amount can be seen here. You can click on submit in order to upload it in the system. Besides, there are also a record of all the previous payment records that have been taken place. So you can choose the financial year, the dates, and all the necessary details will be visible over here. And we have similar settings for receipts, journal, and contra voucher as well, wherein all of them allow you to enter all the necessary details, submit it, and also view the previous records at the same time. And lastly, we have the open contra voucher option, wherein you can enter all the necessary details in order to raise a contra voucher and update the details on the ERP system, which will be visible over here.